Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a small 5-game NBA slate. We do have NBA games all day, but this features the last 5 games of the slate of the day, so do keep that in mind. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really helps the channel a lot. I do have some core plays for you, but we're going to get an injury report first. So we have 5 games. 2 of these have really high totals, and 2 of them have very low totals, and then one in the middle. So to keep that in mind, the Boston-Toronto game, Indiana and Utah game are going to be the 2 games that we're really going to want to target today, with the totals being so much higher than the other 3 games. Then Oklahoma City and LA Lakers also have a pretty good total and a tight game at boot, so that helps as well. Looking at the first games though, so Chicago, Cleveland, the Bulls have Williams questionable, Craig out, and then for the Cavs, Struss is questionable, and Mobley and Garland are out. For Miami, the Heat, Love is questionable, Butler is questionable, and Jaquez Jr. is out. For the Nets, Simmons and Sharp are out. For the Celtics game, Celtics have Brown questionable, and for the Raptors, Podol is out. For the Pacers, Nesmith is questionable and Halliburton is out. For the Thunder, SGA is questionable, and for the Lakers, LeBron is questionable, and Reddish and Vincent are out. So not a ton of outs today, but we do have a few, and we have a couple questionable tags in each game, so that will play into this. So we'll start off with our core plays here. So I'm going to start with Jalen Williams for Oklahoma City Thunder. He's played pretty solid lately. His price has come down a little bit, and he's got a nice plus matchup here against the Lakers. He's been really solid uh, recently, and he's been playing a lot of minutes. He's also had 2 really good games against the Lakers this season, averaging 40 fantasy points against them. This is a good matchup for him, and he looks like a great option on this slate, especially at this nice price point. Looking at Lauri Markkanen, Markkanen has played inconsistent throughout the season, but right now he's playing fairly well. He's had quite a few good games in a row, and he's got a great matchup here against Utah. And he has that 50 fantasy point upside, and he's just too cheap for this matchup. And with only 2 games that have high totals, Utah is definitely a team that we want to look at, especially with them favored against Indiana. And without Halliburton for Indiana, the Jazz have a upside bonus here. Not only that, but the Indiana is still playing fast, and that's going to lead to having Markkanen have a really solid game here. So I think he's in a great spot. I also like Jason Tatum. He was very borderline being a core play because he's had a couple 4 games recently, but he's got a good matchup here against Toronto. And they're going to be up-tempoing the game a little bit more now with Quickly and Barrett. So I think he's in a good spot. He has some nice upside, and if Brown is ruled out, he would become a really good play. His price has come down a little bit too, which is definitely nice. So looking at our other plays I do like here today, one will be SGA. Now he is questionable to play, so to keep that in mind. But if he does play, then he'll be a good option, as he's been absolutely phenomenal throughout the season. And against the Lakers, this is a very plus matchup for him, so I definitely like his potential in this one. Looking at Jordan Clarkson for the Jazz, he's been inconsistent throughout the season, but he's been playing very well lately. And the Jazz have had some struggles and things, but this is a great matchup for them. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game as a result of the situation. He's also been good against Indiana this season already, and so I expect him to have a really solid game. His price is pretty fair too. Even his floor is actually not that much lower than his current price, so that's nice. We'll also look at Emmanuel Quickly for Toronto. Now, he definitely has a tougher matchup here against the Celtics, but ever since he's joined Toronto, he's been starting, and with the exception of the game against the Jazz, he's been absolutely phenomenal for them. His price has come up some, but he's definitely a viable option on the slate. He's going to have some nice upside, and he has 3-point potential and assist potential here. The last game against Utah, obviously, they got blown out, so he didn't play quite as many minutes, and that did hurt his fantasy perspective. But I think this game will be okay and relatively close. The spread on it is 7 points, but it's a high total, and I expect Quickly to come out firing. But he does definitely carry some risk. Looking at RJ Barrett, let's see, for Toronto as well, he's in the similar situation. He's had a little bit of a lower floor than Quickly has in a few games with Toronto so far, but he definitely has good upside for this game as well, and he has that big time upside too. If they can keep it close, then he'll get plenty of minutes along with Quickly and be a viable option. But they both carry a little bit of risk in this matchup. Then we'll look at Colin Sexton for the Utah Jazz. He's played quite a few minutes lately, which definitely helps. He's playing at least 20 minutes in most games. even without the injuries, he's getting plenty of minutes, so that's nice. He's also been over 30 fantasy points and quite a few games lately too, so that gives him a lot of potential here. And this game should be up tempo and fast. Even though he didn't have a great game against Indiana the first time he went against them, I expect him to get plenty of minutes in this one and have a lot of potential for a big time game. Looking at John Collins for Utah as well. He just has a lot of potential. He's going to get plenty of minutes in this one. I expect him to have a good 30 plus fantasy point game here, even though he's been inconsistent throughout the season. Part of that's due to logjam in the power forward center position for Utah, but he's going to have a good game here for Utah to cover this game. So I think he'll have some opportunity, though he definitely carries more risk than some of the other options on the team. I also have a high risk value play and Thaddeus Young. He's started the last 3 games with Podol out, and 2 of those games he did really solid. One of those games against Utah he didn't, but I expect him to bounce back in this one and have a pretty solid game and play at least 25 minutes. This is a good matchup for him, so I think he's got a good opportunity to have a solid game here. Though he does carry a lot of boom or bust potential in this matchup, but he's nice and cheap, and it definitely gives him a playable option. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.